We're going to be using this filter a little bit more, so instead of just using the array, we're going to be using the array with the objects now and start filtering on parts of this object. Woo! So we're going to do we're going to do a const, and we're going to call it occupation. We're going to sort on that one, and let's go with the tech dude. So if you're a tech dude or dudes, you are going to be filtered and only be shown. So all the other dancers, actors, sports singers, and so on won't be shown. So we're going to create this variable here, and we're going to grab our famous people array up here, and as before we're going to use the filter. Before we just used the fat arrow notation, but we're going to be creating this one more alongside the one you saw with the for each. So we're going to actually type in function and the specific keywords, I want to call them keywords, into this so you can see how it actually works, and then your job is to try to create them with the fat arrow afterwards. First, function, like this, and in the function here we want to use a argument or a parameter here that we want to use, or a word that we can reuse, and this is basically the variable that is going to store the information we want to print out, like we have tried before, and this is what we want to have for now. So inside this block, or inside this here, we want to be printing out our, oops, sorry, not this, we want to print out, my nose is scratchy, that's why I'm doing this. So if, we want to do a if statement here, and, oh, what did I do? Go outside, not me, but this one, like this. So we want to have a condition in our if statement to say, if something is true or equal to, that's kind of what we want, then you should do this. And what we want to test is, we want to test the occu, so all the items we are passing in, or saving up here, we want to check them towards the occupation. So occupation up here. So if the value of tech dude is true, then we want to say that you should print those out. And we of course need to say if this is true, so we're using the double, or you can also use the thrice equal signs like this, and use parentheses, and then you write tech dude, and remember to use a capital D if it's also a capital D up here, or else it won't work because it's strictly the same or comparison here. So if the value of this tech dude is equals to what I write here, then it's true, right? Then we can do things with it. What we can do with it, we're just going to return it if it's true. So if something is true, then return it. So we write return true. That's what we want. And basically what that means, if it returns the value if it's true. If it's not true, then don't do it, basically. For this to actually show, we of course need to do a console log like this, and then do this. And then we're just going to print out our the information we want, and the information is the occupation dudes like this. So let's see if this works. Hopefully it will print out 2, right? So let's do a refresh, expand, and we print out something that says tech dude. Woo! Let's try to change the word tech dude. So instead of tech dude, we wanted to print out all the actor. Ooh, yeah, it prints out all the actors. So now we're filtering just like we did before, but instead of using the array to filter with, only the array with the numbers here, we're actually using an array with objects inside of it and checking to see if something specifically in this object is equal to specifically that. So in our case, the wording tech dude, actor, singer, or whatever, whereas before it was equal or higher to the value of 18 or 21 or 50 or whatever. So it's kind of the same logic, but we're just checking for different things now. What you should do now, before, I could also just pause the video and then have a long break, but what you should do is try to create this that we just did, but inside only one line. So remember, instead of writing the function and this one, you should use the fat arrow notation. I'll help you and start you out with the first part of this. So we're going to create a constant, and let's call it, we're gonna mark this code out here so it won't interfere. Let's do a block quote here, and we're gonna name it the same. So occupation tech dudes, even though there's actors up here, it doesn't matter. This is our starting point, right? So you need to try to figure out where do we need to go. So we're going to use the famous famous people, but the fat arrow notation. So we need still need to do the filter, right? So having this is kind of where we only need to write specific things in this. So how do we convert this part here into, by using the fat arrow notation instead of writing all this? So break the movie, pause the video and try to figure it out and come back here to see if you did the right thing. Let's do it. So we have our filter, and then we're going to, as we did before, we're going to use the occupation up here. So occu, let's just copy paste, that's easier. So we're going to use the occu as the word. We can change this to bling, whatever. That's really up to you. But we're going to be using occu, and then we're going to use the fat arrow notation here. So for the function part of this, we use the fat arrow, and we're still going to be using up here like if occu and the occupation inside this, so dot occupation. So this is exactly the same as this one, because filter is checking for the if statement in our case here. So if this is this, and if we need to, like we did before with setting a comparison, so if it's strictly true, 1, 2, 3, and we're not going to use actors, we're going to use the tech dude again, tech dude without that one. So if this is true, then you're going to print it out. So let's try and save. See if it actually prints out. And we have a odd error because this doesn't seem to be the one, because I can't spell. There's an R too much here. There we go. So we still print out our name, Gil Bates and Mlon Owask, which are tech dudes, both of them, and we can just change this. But this line equals basically to this one up here. So if you feel like you want to print out the code, so you better can see what's actually happened, then you do this. But this is a more clean code and really a lot easier, quicker to write, and it does the exact same thing. So this is another way to use the filter through objects in arrays.